Welcome everyone to our next Standards Working Group Meeting and Testing Centers. We are on our June 14, 2023 meeting, and we have the pleasure to have Tom Doyon, Keoke, who are also going to be presenting today after some quick updates from ISWP. There were several presentations at ISS, and I know that Alex and John want to share a little bit about that as well. Okay, so I just want to give a round through our introductions. I know we do have some new members, so I want to just start with everyone in our meeting, just saying hi and where you are and where you are working or the organization that you are representing today. Okay, so I'm just going to start. My name is Stephanie Vasquez, and I work at the University of Pittsburgh, and I also am part of the ISWP on the product standard side. So what if we start with Tom, since you are the next presenter today?
Well, hi, I'm Tom Doyon. I am an engineering project manager here at DEKA in New Hampshire in the United States, and we develop the iBot wheelchair.
Thank you. Keoke, do you want to continue? And then maybe at the end you can share who should be introducing himself or herself after.
Oh, okay, sure. I'm Keoke King. I'm in Washington, D.C. area today, and we're Participant Assistive Products, and we design wheelchairs for less resource settings. And Bill Ammer, you're next. Tell me about yourself.
Thanks, Keoke. I'm Bill Ammer. I'm the owner of Ammer Consulting. I'm a test facility here outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And do I get to choose the next victim then?
Yes, please.
How about Eric Kondo?
Hi, my name is Eric Kondo. I'm a longtime wheelchair user and active wheelchair user, and I have a deep interest in wheelchairs, particularly providing them for low resource countries. So that's why I'm here. And I'll pass this on to Christopher Rushman.
Yes, hi there. So yeah, my name's Chris, and I work for Motivation Charitable Trust, and we're based in Bristol in the UK, and we're focused on products for less resource settings, sports products in sort of low to middle income countries, high income countries as well. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Do you want to choose the next person?
Okay, I'll choose Jon Pearlman.
Thanks, Chris. Jon Pearlman. I am faculty here at the University of Pittsburgh and have expertise in products evaluation, product standards, and product design, and helped to launch ISWP over the last several years before it was transitioned out of Pitt and is now led by Alex Kamadu, who can be next on the list to introduce himself.
Thanks, John. Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm Alex Kamadu. I'm the current Executive Director of ISWP. I'm based here in South Africa, in Johannesburg. I'm delighted to be working with all of you. I've been in the position now for about 7 months and had the pleasure to meet some of you in person and others virtually. So looking forward to the deliberations today. Thanks.
And who will be next, Alex?
Let's go with Keoke.
Already did.
He already went. How about Matt?
Sorry. Matt.
Am I the only Matt in the call?
Okay, maybe we can continue with Daniel Jeffwa. Maybe he's having some difficulties. Let's meet Guillaume.
Hi there, thanks. I'm Guillaume de Toy. I'm from ISWP, based in Cape Town, South Africa. I lead the design department there. Yeah, apologies, my video is not working very well this evening. Yeah, and I work with Dean, who's been a long-term member of this group. I'm just stepping in this evening in place of Shona. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Dean can go after me.
Hi everyone. I'm sorry I've just been failing to connect properly. But if I'm not mistaken, we are just going around talking about ourselves and introducing ourselves, right? That's correct, Stephen. Yeah. So yeah, my name is Dean Mubaiwa. I work for ISWP with Guillaume as well. ISWP mostly makes pediatric support devices, assistive technology devices. What I specialize in is product design and testing.
Thank you. And now we're going to go with Coleman.
Sorry, did you call me?
Yep, we can hear you now. Maybe not too much, but well, Coleman is actually, he presented a few meetings ago, and he was talking about his nonprofit organization in Tanzania, where he's also producing assistive products, including wheelchairs there too. And I'm gonna suggest now we go with Eric Wonderwell. And I'm sorry about mispronouncing your last name, it's difficult.
Sorry, I just joined. So Eric Wonderlick with Latter-day Saint Charities. So I don't know. Since I just joined, I'm not sure what else you want.
Yeah, you can introduce yourself and then choose the next person to introduce.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I manage a kind of a global wheelchair program with Latter-day Saint Charities where we provide training and donation of products in 60 or 70 countries globally. So I don't know who's next, but.
Thank you. Let's go with Don.
Hi, this is Don Schoendorfer, founder and president of Free Wheelchair Mission, and we're continuing. We got through COVID, we got through all the other things going on, and we're shipping wheelchairs, and we can't ship enough of them. I mean, it's good. I have a new factory now in India, and I'm very happy to have our machine we call Lotus to verify quality of a wheelchair, because we can compare it to the quality of the ones that have been made in China for over 20 years now, and find that we can demonstrate quality is equivalent. It's good to be able to test the product in the back room.
Great.
Thank you, Don. Who would you choose next?
Well, I guess I should choose Keoke.
Since Keoke already went, I'm going to choose Amandine.
Well, sorry I missed Keoke.
It's okay.
So, hi everyone. I'm Amandine Boom. I'm working at CERA, which stands for Center of Study and Research on the Equipment for Disabled People. I'm working in the testing department, where we carry out tests following the international and also European standards. We work mainly on wheelchairs and also on external prosthetics for the lower limbs. I will probably do a more detailed presentation on what we do next session, if it's okay.
Absolutely.
Great.
Awesome. So let's continue now with Isabel Bolivar.
Hi, I'm Isabel, and I work at the Universidad Iberoamericana in Mexico City, and we do rehabilitation engineering research in wheelchairs, prosthetics, and other kinds of assistive technology. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's hear from Joseph from DEKA.
Hello, my name is Joseph. I also work at DEKA, working with Tom on the iBot project. I'm the test engineer.
Thank you. I'm looking for who I'm missing. I have Keith Herr.
Keith, yeah, hi. I'm Keith Herr. I'm the Director of Manufacturing at Free Wheelchair Mission, and Don gave a great description of what we do. So I'm very proud to work for the organization. I've been there for about 1.5 years, and this is my second meeting, Stephanie. So thanks very much for hosting these.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Let's continue with Nicole Ritchie.
Good morning. I'm Nicole Ritchie Orton. I'm from University of Michigan Transportation Research Institute. We do some testing to the wheelchair transportation safety standards in both the US and the ISO arenas, primarily on wheelchairs and wheelchair tie downs and seating systems.
Thank you. Can we continue with Sadhana Lal?
Hi everyone, my name is Sadhana and I am a R&D scientist at Tactile Robotics. We are a startup manufacturing company. Right now we are making different devices and one of the devices known as iMotis, which can be fit on any wheelchair, and this device is very useful. And I'm here to listen other people, and I won't, maybe later on I can describe my device, how it works and how it is useful for the people and maybe for the rehab and doctors.
Sounds good. Looking forward to organizing the next presentation with the two people who are already interested. I will definitely keep you in mind. And now I want to continue with Evan.
Hi, Evan Call. I'm now recently changed positions. I'm now a full-time faculty at Weber State University in Utah, and I do still work with EC Service, a test lab where we do testing of wheelchair cushions, hospital beds, and other medical devices.
Well, congrats on your new position, and now let's continue with Holly.
Hi, I'm Holly Wilson Jenny. I'm a third-year PhD student at University of Pittsburgh. My research is in rolling resistance and working on validating and validating our test method, and then building a clinical decision support tool that helps explain rolling resistance of different wheels and casters for clinicians to use.
Thank you. Let's go with Matt. I know you're on your phone, so let me know if you have any difficulties, maybe doing via chat.
Hey, got some audio. Great to see everyone again. I have a history of working with Handicap International, Whirlwind, and collaborating with ISWP, and actually working for DEKA R&D as well in the really early days of the iBot in 2001, which sounds crazy. These days, I am a co-founder of a metal 3D printing startup, and part of the reason I want to stay in touch with you all is I'm really looking forward to the day that we can make you parts for your prototyping or possibly custom seating. It's in the future, but I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Let's continue with Daniel Umaña.
Hello, everyone. I'm Daniel Umaña. I'm from Bogota, Colombia. I'm an industrial designer and a CPO. I work as product manager here in Fundación CIDE, and we're building a new factory to start manufacturing wheelchairs. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Okay, I'm now having a difficult time. Okay, Bonnie, you're next.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Bonnie Gonzalez. I work at Free Wheelchair Mission as a mechanical engineer directly under Don and Keith.
Thank you. And now I think last but not least, we have Peter Axelsson, and yeah.
Hi, everyone. Peter Axelsson here with Beneficial Designs. Good to see everyone again. I lead a wheelchair test lab here in Minden, Nevada, where we do all the manual and powered wheelchair testing to the ISO standards and the RESNA standards. And we also do surface testing for accessibility of surfaces, measuring their firmness and stability, and that's following ASTM standards that use a wheel with torque sensors on it to measure rolling resistance and compare that to ramp angle rolling resistance. And Stephen Peters is also sometimes on these meetings. He's not on this one today. He's doing some wheelchair testing. So I look forward to getting to hear everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also noticed that Bob Appleyard just joined us. Bob, just to give you a quick idea of what's happening, we're doing a quick introduction for everyone. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, indeed, I would. Just a quick one. Sorry, I'm late. Apologies. I got carried away on another job. You know how it goes. Dreadfully hot here in England. We're suffering 29 degrees centigrade, which is, we're melting, hence the soft clobber. I'm involved with crash tests, have been involved with crash testing of in a broad context, not only wheelchairs and seating systems, but automotive stuff over the years. Retired about 5 years ago and kind of now working as a consultant in wheelchair accessible matters in the UK. A great pleasure working with ISWP and a number of certainly African countries, where I've got some experience of having worked before in a previous career, if you like. So very interested in the activities of ISWP, particularly in for manufacturers in less resource settings. That's it. Can't think of anything else to say.
Thank you, Bob. And I also noticed we have Nargis, so that would be our last introduction, and we'll start with our presenters. Okay, I think Nargis might be having some difficulties, but we had the pleasure to listen to Nargis and her team in our last meeting. And I also want to read out loud what Danielle Jeff was shared with us. He is from Kenya, and he is a special needs education teacher and is voluntarily running a community-based organization in Kenya. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we will continue with some ISWP updates from Alex Kamadu and Jon Pearlman.
Super. Thank you, Stephanie. I think I'm going to kick off and then Jon can add if I've missed anything out. I think, Bob, first of all, thanks for showing off about the weather in the UK. Enjoy it while it lasts. Here in South Africa, we are freezing. It's about 5 degrees Celsius. Yeah, enjoy it. So just to take a step back, you know, ISWP is still going through what I would consider to be the early stages of the new entity. As you all are aware, ISWP was incubated under the University of Pittsburgh for the last seven and a half years. And as of earlier this year, we have now transitioned to being a standalone, not-for-profit entity, still incorporated in the state of Pennsylvania. But we've been given the task to transition the board, to bring on board new team members. But we've been very thankful to have had the strong leadership of Jon Pearlman and Mary Goldberg, who have, managed to create something that has been easy for us to transition to. So there's been quite a few what I would call operational tasks or organizational activities that have needed to be done, setting up financial controls, bringing and onboarding new team members, just making sure that the systems are running very smoothly. But I think one of the most exciting things that we've had earlier this month was the release of the wheelchair service provision guidelines that we co-developed with WHO and ISPO. We actually launched it at the ISPO Congress in Mexico in April, but the release actually took place early last week. So that's quite exciting because this is a piece of work that has been going on for years, and it is a product that will enable governments that are looking to improve or develop wheelchair service provision in their countries. And we're excited about the future plans that we have with WHO to be able to disseminate that and help countries to operationalize that. At ISWP, we've also been busy to develop some strategic partnerships. We've been approved in principle to become a member of GATO. We're in the process of signing a contract or an agreement, a long-term agreement with the International Red Cross. Also, we're in discussions with the WHO about a piece of work that we're about to deliver in the Ukraine around capacitating clinicians and volunteers in the country. And this is sort of a long-term strategy that we've been developing and building with the European division of WHO. And yeah, we're looking at also forming or having an MOU with UNICEF and also FATO, the Federation of Assistive Technology as well, or the African Assistive Technology. So we've been forming all these relationships and just building on the good work that has been done and trying to solidify those into official relationships. So that's really good. In terms of some of our more medium to long-term activities that we are trying to do, we've just appointed a firm by the name of Digital Brand Shop to undertake a branding review of ISWP so that everything is sort of fit for purpose and our vision and our values and are still what they were when we set them up. We've also got to take on board the transitioning of the founding board to become a more established board. But in order to do that, we've got to hold our first AGM. And in order to hold an AGM, we've got to have members that are registered and committed towards paying membership dues. So we are working on all these long-term strategies as part of the work that we're doing. We're also going to do a massive overhaul of the website and the learning management system that holds our basic, intermediate, and all the online training packages that we have. For those that don't know, we've been using a WordPress website, and we've also been using some of these free plugins, and often we end up with lots of difficulties and challenges. And the website and the learning management system is one of our most products that are most used by individuals across the globe. So we want to invest some of our resources to make sure that this is fit for purpose as we move forward as the new entity. In terms of some of the training activities, there's lots of exciting work going on. At the moment, we are just delivering a hybrid model training of trainers in Thailand with a firm, with a small NGO called RICD under the leadership of Joey Tell. I'm pleased to see colleagues from Mexico here. Isabel, we met at ISPO and ISS, and we managed to forge a relationship and are in the process of developing a training package or training of trainers for colleagues at the University of Ibero, bringing on board also the medical professionals as well. I mentioned about the Ukraine. We're looking at a long-term 3 to 5 year training capacity building program for the current workforce and for those coming into the system. We're also working with a university in South Africa, the University of Tshwane, around developing a package to include wheelchair service content into the training for final year prosthetic and orthotic students. We're also looking at hosting a webinar with ISPO in September time, and we're in the planning phases of the Global Educators meeting with the prosthetists in October time. So there's a lot of planning around these things. But as you can appreciate, these things take a lot of time, and with a small team, we find that this is a little bit of a challenge, but we are just prioritizing things as we are moving forward. Just one other thing that I wanted to mention in terms of training, the Basic Test 2.0, we've had about 130 people complete the basic test. We're now in the process of analyzing and writing up the manuscript in order to be able to move this process to the next phase. And it's an exciting time for us because what we've recognized was that the basic test was slightly deficient and there were certain areas that needed to be built upon. And that's the process that we've taken to redevelop that. So I'm pleased to say that we're in the next phase of that, and the revision will soon be launched with that. I'm going to hand over to Jon, if there's anything that I've missed or anything from the product side. Thanks.
Sure. Thanks, Alex. No, I think everybody can get a real good sense of the scope of what is going on that Alex is helping to drive to formalize the governance and the membership of ISWP and refresh both the brand and the website. So those are those are, important and large tasks. And I want to just maybe highlight a few things related to this group in particular that Alex, really already covered. But the first is the MOUs that Alex has helped to drive, especially with UNICEF and other, what are really large scale providers around in countries around the world. And that to me is a really nice opportunity for this group to help continue to influence and drive improved wheelchair quality through those more established relationships. I think that there has been a change. For many years, I was able to create a direct link between the topics discussed on this meeting and ISO because I served as the convener of the key working group at ISO that oversaw and developed wheelchair standards for manual wheelchairs. And I transitioned out of that role, but Bill Ammer, who's on the call, still serves in that role, took it over from me, and obviously is on this meeting. So we still have a nice opportunity to influence ISO, and I would recommend that we continue to drive that. As you, if for many of you who've been on this meeting for many years, we have developed a product standard to test casters, which was still is unfortunately one of the weakest links in terms of wheelchair performance and quality. And so we developed that and promoted it through ISO. It's now currently a global standard. And so I think that link is still importantly there. This working group is here as a community of practice, but we also have resources that are online through the wiki that are flexible, available globally, so and provide a supplement to the actual ISO standards, which you have to pay for. So what we have is right now is free. And, those are the core messages here. I think we have this group I think this might be the largest meeting of the standards working group I've seen. So it's really encouraging to see the growth of this as, my role changes from more in the leadership executive role in ISWP and more focused on my technical expertise and standards. I look forward to continuing to work with manufacturers around the world. And I have seen in the evolution of the last several years, manufacturers, in part driven by these meetings, start to adopt best practices in terms of testing. And I think, examples in Uganda where we have a team there that's developing local manufacturing and establishing a test lab is an example of the type of influence that we can have at the local level, as well as the global level, when you have folks like, Don here from Free Wheelchair Mission developing test methods, and Eric Wunderlich, who deliver wheelchairs in, dozens, tens of countries, 60, 50, 50, 60, 70 countries around the world. We can have a major impact. And I just encourage everybody to continue to contribute to drive that change.
Thank you both. Would anyone in the group have any questions for Alex or Jon? Okay, so before we move into our next presenters, you probably got this because I accidentally clicked on this before, but our next meeting is going to be September 13th, 2023, of course. So now that we have a couple people interested, please follow up with me. I'll send you an email as well so we can coordinate our next meeting as well. But now I would like to stop sharing my screen. So Tom, I would like you to be able to share your presentation and we can start.
All right, let's see.
That was the 13th of September, you said, Stephanie?
Yes, it's always going to be the second Wednesday every 3 months. So in this case, it's going to be September 13th.
All right. Hello, everybody. It's an honor and a pleasure to speak to you today. My name is Tom Doyon, and I'm with DEKA Research and Development here in Manchester, New Hampshire, in the United States. This is only our second meeting that DEKA has been invited to. We recently became aware of ISWP at the end of last year, and it was through the caster testing that Jon mentioned that we ultimately became aware of ISWP. So thank you for hearing me today. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about DEKA Research and Development and the iBot. So DEKA Research and Development is a medical device product development company. We don't put out anything with our name on it. We basically are a contract R&D firm with a lot of engineers. We have over 40 years of experience. We now have over 800 employees. Most of those are engineers. And we're located in these wonderful 150-year-old mill buildings in Manchester, New Hampshire. We have done many different products, most of which are either in the robotic space or in the fluid movement and fluid measurement space. For example, the world's first wearable infusion pump, which is quite old at this point. We also do dialysis. This is a home peritoneal dialysis system. This is an irrigation pump for knee surgery. We also developed and invented the Segway right here in Manchester, New Hampshire, which is now over 20 years ago. And you could probably go and see a balancing transportation boards or toys or whatever pretty much every day now. We also have developed the Luke prosthetic arm, which is the only prosthetic arm with a powered shoulder available on the market for somebody who's missing their entire arm. We also have developed a very small infusion pump that can be worn on the body. Look at how small it is. And at this time, it's used to dispense a drug called Remunity. And lastly is the iBot wheelchair. And I'll be telling you a little bit about the iBot. So the history of the iBot was first came to be around the turn of the century. And it came on the market first around 2003 to 2005, the iBot 3000. And it was the very first stair climbing wheelchair ever available. We actually had to create a special category with the FDA to get clearance to market this product. The iBot 4000 was the next generation of the iBot, and that was on the market from 2005 to 2009. And the product was on the market through a division of Johnson & Johnson during that time. And Johnson & Johnson gave us the rights back to the device, and we redesigned it to remove obsolete components, to reduce the weight, to improve the battery system, improve the user controls. And in late 2019, just before the pandemic, we relaunched the product, and it is still on the market today under our related company called Mobius Mobility, which is just down the street from us. Now, what is the iBot? The iBot is more than just a wheelchair. It's a multi-functioned powered mobility device. It can operate in standard mode, like you see here, with the casters on the ground. It can operate in a four-wheel mode, where the seat is actively balanced, and it can go up and down curbs. It can go up and down steep slopes, and the seat will remain in this position. And it's the base that can adjust itself. It can also climb stairs. And lastly, it can go into a balance mode, which is actually very, very beneficial and important to our users. For example, here's some shots of some of our users in four-wheel mode. The base is water resistant. Here's somebody just fly fishing in a stream, and stairs is quite obvious what you can do with stair mode. It lets people get to places they might not be able to get to. And balance mode is so important. It really raises people up to the same level as others so that they can interact, they can reach things on higher shelves. So here at DEKA, what we do is we have a multidisciplined engineering team with everything from software, mechanical, electrical systems, test, all on the same small team. And what we do is we handle new feature addition for the iBot. We also do continuous improvement projects, and we offer manufacturing support to the manufacturing company, which is also just down the street. We also have our own in-house testing capabilities for dynamic stability, static stability. These are pictures of our test lab, which is just across the hall from me. We also do our own durability testing from double drum to drop, impact, and we even designed our own special stair durability rigs. And we also perform our own environmental testing. We have an in-house semi-anechoic chamber for mostly engineering testing. We do send our devices outside for formal EMC testing. We also have an ESD lab as well as temperature and humidity capabilities. And we're also members and participants in the ISO and RESNA standards working groups. And that's the end of my presentation. It's been wonderful to introduce you to DEKA and the iBot. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for sharing what you guys are doing. I just want to open up for questions for the group. Have you guys get the chance to see this wheelchair in person or maybe on a video? I do have a question for you, Tom. What's the height of the stairs that the chair would be able to climb? Like,
as far as the tread height?
Yeah, like the steps. How height would they need to be?
Yeah, it's approximately up to an 8-inch riser.
Okay. And when you said that it's on the market, is it primarily in the US or what other countries is it available?
Oh, thank you for asking that. I forgot to mention, we also have CE mark. So it is available in Europe. We have a distributor in the Netherlands that is distributing it all throughout Europe.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Yeah, this is Keoke. I had a related question. Can it handle stairs if the stairs are not equal height? If you've got an 8-inch stair and a 5-inch stair and a 6-inch stair?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I can even do intermediary landings as well. Yep.
I noticed that on your pictures, the majority of the people who were using them were holding the handles. Do you need to have that in order to go up and down the stairs when you're using the iBot?
If you're solo stair climbing, you do need to have a handrail, but we also offer assisted stair climbing where an assistant can hold a handle on the backrest and assist with stair climbing.
Thank you, Alex. I see you have a question.
Thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, no, it was just a comment, really. Tom, thanks for the presentation. I think it's an incredible piece of engineering, and it's just a follow-on from Stephanie's question about availability across the globe. When I worked in the UK quite some years ago, we actually had a client who was a photographer and unfortunately had a progressive neurological condition and had to be flown from the UK to the US to actually undertake the full assessment. So apart from Europe and the US, that's the only or the only areas it is available.
At this time, yes.
Yeah.
Just at this time, yes.
Okay. Good.
Stephanie, I got a question for Tom, actually, if I can just sneak in there.
Please.
Tom, it's really great to see that picture of the guy fly fishing. That's just so, it just shows the accessibility of that product and the place it can go and the freedom and the independence. It's lovely. But out of interest, what depth of water would you recommend as the engineer that you feel is like the limit that product should be able to be driven into?
We have a 4-inch or approximately 100 millimeter water fording. Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, nice.
I'm just thinking of lots of questions. How much does it weigh, and do you have problems with it destroying stairs?
It weighs, the device weighs approximately 220 pounds or about 100 kilograms, and it can do a up to 300 pound occupant. So, we have a requirement that the total system mass with user and accessories can weigh no more than a certain amount, and that is certainly conveyed to the users and their assistants when they take delivery and training of the device. And we've had no issues with stairs and the durability of stairs. We basically designed the device and the system mass around typical stair construction methods.
And Tom, would you be able to share with us a little bit about the standards that would be related to stair climbing wheelchairs? I know that not everyone has probably experience on this, but if you can share a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, there's a specific ISO standard for stair climbing. It's the Part 28, 7176-28, and it's specifically centered around stair climbing wheelchairs. And it focuses on durability, safety, and also different measurements of types of stairs that it can traverse, et cetera. Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else may have a question for Tom? Okay, thank you so much for your presentation, Tom. And we're gonna continue now with Keoke. Keoke, I do have your presentation as a backup, but please feel free to share your screen. Just in case, we are seeing your screen, but we are looking at your second desktop maybe.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm almost ready. Okay, now I think that you can see the presentation. What do you think?
Yep.
Okay,
Perfect.
great, cool. All right. So I'm Keoke. This is actually kind of a precious group for me. Early in the days, John and Matt and Ralph and some others taught me a lot about wheelchairs. I've learned a lot from a number of others of you, including Dawn, and it's fun to get to share a little bit here. So and very much look forward to some feedback. So I'm going to try to wheel through a number of slides and then make time for chat. So why did we do this? So we first of all saw there's like kind of a gap. There's not a lot of variety for affordable, appropriate products that fit particularly this pediatric tilt category. Since I've been involved for quite a long time now, we used to be trying to reach 70 million people that need a wheelchair, and now I think it's like 85 or something. So I was hoping that if we used a more commercial approach that we could see more scalability. And then we're also interested in localization as far as how can we put assembly operations or e-commerce or something like that in places that are very close to users, and to be able to facilitate refurbishing and so on. So the R&D goals, we wanted to have a tilt chair that also has postural support. There's a bunch of advantages for tilt that we can talk about if somebody's curious. We wanted something that would work in all terrains, be able to fit into small cars and crowded spaces. We're really thinking about user requirements for less resource settings, low and also middle income countries. We want it to be, at least as durable as 7176, but hopefully quite a lot more. Growability was important because governments and donors don't want to buy a chair for a child every 3 years or 5 years. So hopefully it can last much longer. We targeted affordability for NGOs in low-income countries at $400. We want it to be good enough for the USA, and so then that allows us to use like tiered pricing, and the brand can be, not something NGOs buy, but it's like like something designed and used in the USA. And so we're interested in like cross-subsidy marketing too. So then we can have a very affordable price and a higher price, and something that we would that could be defensible with patents. So the process that we used to do the design, first we did a bunch of expert interviews. Then we put together a feature list and did Facebook surveys, like recruited lots of people to a Facebook group, private group, and kind of got rankings and opinions on what features were missing and so on. Then we made animations, and we got feedbacks from like lots of people. I think it was way over 100, maybe even 200 users and experts and parents, and we're very interested to reach out to less resource settings there. And then, just to note, so at this point, it's my co-founder Dave, who's an OT and wheelchair user, and Yoda, who lives in California, and myself, and we're making animations in the in a developed country, and kind of trying to to make something that would fit. So we're really trying hard to reach out beyond our direct experience and get input from others. And then we went through several cycles of prototype, ISO test, field test, update, repeat. We did I think there were 5 or 6 trips to Mexico, Colombia, different places in the Middle East, Europe, and just taking the product, going to conferences and getting input from experts in lots of different places, to try to try to get beyond our imagination and see what users really need. We did a 1-month home trial in February of 2020 where I caught COVID, brought it home to my wife, and then we kind of finalized the product design, made the tools, and got it to production last September. Let's see if this video plays. 4, 3, 2, 1. Important.
I don't think we can have audio in this video. Or well, we should be able to.
Yeah, you won't see the audio. Okay, so there's a 5th wheel that attaches in front so it can work on rough terrains. It folds up and fits in a small car. This is in Guaymas, Sonora, North Mexico. So the family can take their child on a walk. This is on pavement. If it's next to the beach, here they've walked the child to school. We can take off the all-terrain accessory, the 5th wheel, and then the chair can tilt. And then, so now he's able to have kind of eye-line contact with his teacher and other kids in the classroom because of the tilt. And then he's able to sit up to eat and have nice times with the family. So that's kind of the basic video. And then I think that I need to go back to present mode. Well, let's not do present mode. So going to the next slide here. So kind of zoom in on a couple of features. We have this all-terrain accessory, which it attaches in front. We did a lot of work on like the tilt to make something that's going to be, very, very rugged, very simple. Even the tilt parts are something that are, field repairable and so on. We did a good bit of work on growth. I wouldn't say we actually got the growth right. I think we have a little more height in the backrest than we do proportional depth adjustment. So that's, something to learn. And then the whole folding thing was very important in trying to keep it lightweight. So currently we've sold about 700 units, probably 200 or 300 of them are in use. There's been 1 unit that's used for 3 years. We've got a couple of big purchase contracts. We've had a lot of very positive feedback. It kind of, feels like, hey, yay, we filled a gap. The functions do appear to be usable and durable. So a lot of like the stress of like launch a new product and does it work? We achieved on those things. We've had 1 broken part. So there's a very, very strong young lady in Naivasha, Kenya, who broke my footrest about 10 days ago. So we get to improve on that. We've got an ongoing clinical trial in Bangalore. And hopefully we'll have our first localizations this year, localizing e-commerce for this chair and a few other chairs and some cushions. And then hopefully an assembly shop early next year where we can produce about 200 chairs a month. And we want to have like a very fixed, like, you know, this is the assembly shop itself becomes a product. So the set up the shop costs about 100,000. It takes us about 9 months to start it, and then it's producing a variety, you know, maybe 200 chairs a month or more. So stuff we learned, or learnings, as they say. So product support is super important. So the kind of if there's a what fails on Cub, it's people don't know how to use it, and we didn't explain it right, or, you know, so we make this huge support page with lots and lots and lots of videos, and we're, you know, kind of aiming for like best in the world wheelchair product support. There are no investors. This is a terrible thing to do for your retirement account. There's like, if you look for, you know, venture investors or impact investors or something like that for assistive technology in lower and middle income countries, there's no one there. So I can say that with authority. So I think that's kind of something for the global community to, you know, to work on. If they want to have markets, there need to be products and entrepreneurs. And right now there's a big hole in the pathway. So procurement doesn't get it right. It's better to like proactively package things. So like we offer the chair without the all-terrain accessory, and then we see lots of pictures where the donor didn't buy the all-terrain accessory and the kid is, you know, out somewhere, they really need it and they don't have it. So now we're thinking, you know, how can we put even more stuff in the same box so that and still keep the price affordable. Lots of requests for an adult version. Hopefully we can do that later this year. There's lots of requests from middle income countries for like fancier versions of our postural supports. And there's, you know, many detailed ways to talk about fancier, but that is a big request. And then our hope that cross subsidy for AT would work. It's working. Like there really are market opportunities for us, and we're very grateful for that. And that's it. Okay, I'm done with my presentation. And I do actually have the chair like there, so we can look at the chair if you're curious.
Thank you, Keoke. Really good presentation. And I do have a question for you regarding, I know that you mentioned that you are currently working in low and middle income countries. So what has been your experience in especially low and middle income countries who do have a universal healthcare system into getting some of your products as part of the provision of assistive technology? Have you worked with anyone within the government to increase the affordability or the availability of products?
Yeah, okay,
like
so this is and I think an important case study for some university somewhere is to look at this question for Latin America. So Colombia, Brazil, Argentina, and a number of other countries, the government has budget to buy products. And then you go there and you look at what products are available. It's the products from the USA. And the US manufacturers are not interested to you know, give those guys a better deal. So they sell at whatever the regular wholesale rate is, plus, you know, kind of some hassle fee, and then you get taxes and transportation, and the cost there is like significantly higher than retail here. So you know, we're trying to you know, kind of disrupt the market by forcing low prices into those spaces. You know, the governments are delighted. They're not interested to help us necessarily because we're a commercial operation. But that is a dynamic that creates a significant barrier to wheelchair AT.
And what would be your advice as a manufacturer who has been promoting products like yours?
But on how to solve that kind of a problem?
Yeah, on how to work around that, or how to interact with governments or even nonprofits who would like to provide this type of products in low and middle income countries.
Yeah, so well, so provision training is, you know, product plus provision can make a good result. So but I think for us commercially, we have to find the right distribution partners. We don't do exclusives. We're not going to sign a contract and then have somebody raise the price. And then yeah, I think just if you decide to do this, like, it's, from my experience, it's hard. So be ready for a challenge.
And in terms of standards, what have been the most common requests from, I don't know, maybe either the people who are helping with the distribution at the local level, or when you have been working on the government side?
Yeah, so standards in some ways are nicely streamlined for Japan, USA, Europe. We have CEMDR. We'll finish FDA later this year. It's a lot of the same testings, the same things, the 7176, flammability, biocompatibility, so on. I was very disappointed to see Kenya create their own standards, and so they're easier, but we have to pay extra to get our chairs to pass their unique standard. And I hope that as a manufacturer, that just creates extra cost and hassle for us. So I hope that we don't see more of that. And then as far as like standards beyond that, we on some of our products, I think actually this caster wheel, we've done the ISWP caster testing, but customers are not requesting that.
Thank you. I also want to mention that this is not the only product from Participant Assistive Products. So maybe you can talk a little bit about the other products that you have, because maybe not all of us in the group are familiar with a lot of things you do.
Sure. So we have a couple of rigid chairs, and we have something that's more like an adult, like a very rugged adult transport chair. We will have a folding adult active chair. That's the next major design project for us. And then we have a variety of cushions that are EPP foam, PU top layer, and then a gel insert. So they're tested to be skin protection cushions.
Thank you. Sorry, I asked so many questions, but I do want to open up for the group too.
Can I ask a question of Keoke, please, Stephanie? I noted, did I hear that correctly, that you were disappointed to hear that the Kenyan Bureau of Standards have introduced a performance requirement which is different from the ISO requirements? Did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Any more information on that? I think I heard you say that it was a lower requirement for their wheelchairs.
To me, it seems lower. Our chair passed. we didn't pass ISO and fail Kenya. I was just in Kenya, and I asked around who did this great thing, and nobody would claim responsibility. It seems like there's probably a group of local stakeholders who gave advice to their standards body, KEBS, to do this, and I still don't know who that is.
So it might have been that those modifications or amendments to performance standards that you were surprised to see might have been to make the product more suitable for African conditions. No,
I don't think so. I think it makes it easier for their local manufacturers. I mean, better for Africa. Don would probably be the best person to comment on this, because he's done some really cool testing in Kenya, as I understand. There's lots of ISO pass chairs that fail quickly in less resource settings. So we need to do stronger than that, not worse.
Yeah, and I guess there could be advantages to stimulating manufacturing in a third world country. That could also be a positive, couldn't it? That could.
I don't think it's a good idea. I think the losers are, everybody except the manufacturer. The user loses, their chair breaks and they can't participate. The government loses. They thought they made something good for their economy, but they can't export it. The NGOs don't want to buy it. So Not a fan. Sorry. Just my opinion. One person's opinion.
Yeah, nothing to do with your income stream then.
No, I don't make. I mean, even if we do massive business in Kenya, our margins are so low that we won't. That's not gonna. I can't buy a car with that. That's just a good thing that we do.
Oh no, you'd die a poor man. I know that one. Yeah, that's right. But it's stimulating manufacturing capability in a less resource setting. It does have advantages.
If it's good, if it's making not good, that's not great.
Every journey starts with the first step, though, Keoke. Hey.
Yes, I agree. Certainly.
Right.
A great quote.
Thanks very much for that.
Certainly.
Matt, I think you have a question.
Sorry, iPhone interface. Keoke, once upon a time, you talked to me about how you can set this up either for people who self-propel or for people who don't, given that the big wheels are obviously a drawback if you have to load it in cars, carry it around. Did you keep that feature through this?
Yeah, so we've got two axle holes. There's one. I made it worse. So there's an axle hole here for a 24-inch wheel and a push rim, and then there's this the 16-inch wheel. And so then when the 24 comes in a kit, so you're going to take off this wheel lock, put the other wheel on, and then put on another wheel lock up here in the front.
That's fantastic. And have you gotten some of those out there too? Has there been feedback?
Yeah, I think there's probably like 40 of those out there. We just released that not too long ago. Yeah, and people seem to like that. It's a hit. So one of the things about this chair that's not great for self-propellers is we adjust seat width by moving some hip guides. So if you're a really short little guy and you're going to reach out over our very wide chair to try to push the wheelchair, that's not super. So we will make a smaller size, especially for those kids, and then the whole thing's a little bit lighter and smaller. And then the larger size.
And just wanted to say, Keoke, I completely appreciate your refusal to pretend that local manufacturing is always a great idea. No, really, that's a really important point, that people have to deal with that reality. I think we all believe that wheelchairs and people with disabilities have inherent value, and to sacrifice that for any other priority, including the employment of 5 people with disabilities in a shop somewhere, to me is you got to be really careful to do that. And I think Keoke, that I spent a long part of my life trying to do local manufacturing, and there are incredible things about it. When it works, it's fantastic. It's an engine for R&D, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we've got to be frank about what the product actually ends up being a lot of the time. And yeah, I appreciate your willingness to kind of spread that message. Yeah. Anyway.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Keoke, for showing that. I didn't know you can actually swap that. That is very impressive. Someone else may have another question. Daniel, go ahead.
Thank you, Keoke. That looks great. We're on the process of making our own models, right, for the testing. Mm-hmm. So we're building 5 different models. Did you ever give those models to a user for a couple of days so they could use it and then give you some feedback? And is there some kind of standard or some kind of way of doing that? Because we're not really sure of how to give those wheelchairs to the users and how to follow up on that user interface, let's say.
Yeah, it's a really important question. So we would only we didn't start doing at-home trials until we were sure that the chair was safe and effective. So that doesn't fall over, doesn't have sharp edges, all those kind of things. And then and then we feel more comfortable to do at-home trials, and we're visiting the users very frequently to figure out if they've discovered something awful, and then we could put a stop to it. But then after we were, more confident, then there's one user that's had a prototype now for over 2.5 years. So I'm shocked that it still works, but that's what we did.
And an average, how long does it take? Like, how long do you give the wheelchairs to the users on average? Like you say, there's one for 2 years, but then.
Well, yeah. So we did a number of like kind of fitting and use it for half a day trials, and then we did some longer trials that were about a month. And we felt like we could get that the user is going to go through their own kind of break-in and caregiver learning period and so on, be able to use it in different environments, and then get some useful feedback in a month. And then after that, COVID happened, so we stopped all that.
Okay, and did they have to like sign something, or? Like,
yeah. Well, yeah. They have to sign something. It's more of a consent form than a "don't sue us" form. So, in the U.S., I have people do the "don't sue me" form, but not other places.
Okay. Thank you, Keoke. It looks really great.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe we can collaborate. I'd love to hear from you.
Sure. In Colombia, we can talk later.
Thank you, and I'll make sure to connect both of you via email, maybe after the meeting today. Yeah. Anyone else may have another question for Keoke? Okay, then if not, thank you again for your presentation and sharing your COP with us.
Thanks for the group.
Yeah. I want to continue with some group updates. And also I have a message here from Matt. He says, if anyone loves local manufacturer, I love it too. I will happily talk about victories and painful defeats in this regard and lessons maybe. Yeah, please reach out. We'll probably reach out to you, Matt, so maybe you can talk to us, to the entire group. And now I just want to talk about some group updates. I know that there's going to be some meetings coming up. So Bill, would you like to share with us a little bit about ISO? I think you're muted.
Is it okay if I share my screen for a minute here?
Of course, go ahead.
Okay, can everybody see this? This is the ISO website. The section of ISO that we're concerned with, or that's concerned with us, is ISO Technical Committee 173. And within TC 173, there's a subcommittee 1 that has to do with specifically wheelchairs. And within SC1, there are 4 ISO committees. WG1 and WG10 handle wheelchairs. WG6 is wheelchair restraint systems, such as for transportation. And then WG11 handles anything that has to do with wheelchair seating. Currently within SC1, there's 41 standards available. For a lot of you, the 7176 series is going to be pretty familiar. So there's a listing of all of the 7176 series standards. The 10542 series and the 10865 series has to do with the restraint systems used in vehicles. And then the 16840 series has to do with seating. I guess the big news items within the last year, there was always a 7176-16, which had to do with flammability. That standard will eventually be withdrawn, and the new standard that will take its place for flammability testing is 16840-10. The new 16840-10 has been accepted by the FDA for those of us in the United States, and the standard is available on at the ISO website if you need to get a hold of that. There's no more open flame test, and there's some new technology involved with it for the heating element. I'm not terribly well versed in the specifics of that standard, so I hope nobody has a question for me on that. There seems to be a lot of interest in robotics for wheelchairs now, and there are several groups working on those. I know we have a RESNA group here in the United States working on chairs with sensors and things like that on it. And I know that there are some inroads being taken from the WG10 wheelchair committee, starting to look at new standards for robotic wheelchairs. I guess one of the other big things that's happening within ISO 7176, Part 26 had to do with all of the vocabulary that was involved in the wheelchair standards. And it was suggested a few years back that we incorporate all of the vocabulary from the 16840 series into that standard. And so there has been a small committee of about 8 of us. We've been working for a little over 2 years now. We looked at all of the definitions in the 7176 series and the 16840 series, and we've combined those together. We're now going through that. We've been meeting every other week for just a little over 2 years now, trying to get this redone so that not only do we combine the vocabularies, but we make them more homogeneous, I guess, you know, so that the wheelchair group isn't using a different term than the wheelchair seating group for the same item. So it's been a lot of work on that. I think that's basically it for the ISO updates. We have some meetings coming up. I believe they're trying to organize some meetings for September of this year in Portugal. That's just in the upcoming stages. There's no definite plans there yet. And they're already starting to plan for a major ISO meeting sometime in the spring of next year. No details on that yet. We are always looking for help. And if you would like to learn more about wheelchairs or wheelchair seating or tie downs or things like that, you can contact us through the ISO website or get in touch with me or Stephanie, and we can point you in the right direction. But we're always looking for people who are willing to sacrifice more of their free time to help us develop these standards. Anything else?
I think Keoke has a question.
Yeah, Bill, I was on the presentation. I think it was an engineer from Permobil that talked in detail about the flammability testing, and they did an impact analysis. You know, does this matter? Is this dumb? And the analysis said doesn't matter, is dumb. And then they made the test more expensive with some new technology. I was curious to hear, why did we keep that? Why didn't it just go away?
I'm not sure I understand. Why didn't we keep what?
So the way I heard the presentation was that they they looked at deaths and injuries, and then wheelchair users at deaths and injuries, and then how many had an event where they caught on fire. It sounds terrible, but it seemed like from the research they showed this, we're testing for something that never happens, and then they went on to she jumped right from this doesn't matter to we made some new technology, and so it'll be more expensive coming soon. I was really surprised about that.
I think it was the nature. I think it was the nature of the heat source. Keoke was the big change. That's what made it an improvement over Part 16 of 7176 series. That was the achievement.
There was an open flame test in the old standard, and there is no more open flame test. Like I said, I'm not technically really qualified to talk about the specifics of this standard, but apparently there were comparisons made between this test and the old flame test, and this gave us better results. And there was actually an old cigarette test where you had to buy these special cigarettes and do the test with them. It was limiting, and it wasn't all that repeatable or accurate. And so that was one of the reasons for developing a different technology for applying the heat. I don't know whether that helps, Keoke.
No, I mean, I don't. I think it's clever. I thought the technology they came up with was really cool. I admire those smart, creative people. But back to like manufacturing and less resource settings, like this does create like a real barrier. Like the testing cost goes up by 15% or 20% when you add this test, and the test is not available hardly anywhere. So now I have to mail my fabric to the other side of the world to get it tested, and like it's pointless. So that was aggravating. Thank you for listening to my complaint.
Understand. Anybody else?
Yeah, Bill, don't forget that Working Group 6 also deals with wheelchairs and seating systems for use in transport. It's not just wheelchair restraint tie-downs and things like that. That's a huge subject, and Nicole and myself on either side of the Atlantic spend an awful lot of time testing wheelchairs, occupied wheelchairs, and seating systems for use in transport, which might well be in a more developed country rather than in the third world. But we do spend an awful lot of time doing that, and contributions are always welcome.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate you helping me out there.
Yeah. Early days.
Thank you, Bill, for sharing all of that. Does anyone else have another update that you would like to share with the group? Okay. Then if not, I will give you back about 10 minutes to your life and some free time between meetings if you have some. I just want to send a reminder again, like I'll send a new link for our upcoming meeting in September. It's going to be the second Wednesday in September. So that's going to be September 13th. And Danielle, am I right that you have a comment? Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Just a question. We're working around the type of aluminum, right? 6061, T4 or T6. And we're wondering about bending processes and how the quality of the bends are like measured. There's a way of measuring if it's properly bent or if it's not properly bent. I mean, because there's nothing about bending, and we see that there are different types of ways of getting to that shape, but then there's no way of testing if it has wrinkles inside, or if it's this a specific test for this, or a better type of reference to use if it's 6061 T4 or a different tempo. If we use T6 or we use the 7000 series.
I agree. There is not anything in the standards that allows you to evaluate fabrication processes like that. I don't know how you would even approach that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because there's no way of like telling if it's properly done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just to jump in, I used to obsess about this type of thing, and it's unfortunate Peter just dropped off, because Peter Axelson has fabricated a lot of ski technology, ski wheelchairs with 6061 T6 aluminum, and he did that because of his familiarity with it from aircraft design. So what I strongly suspect is that the aircraft industry has developed internal quality assurance standards. So you could, I would look in there. Somebody has done this homework because of its existence in aircraft industry, which is so heavily regulated, and you might be able to learn something.
So let's table that question for our next meeting. We'll hopefully have also Peter join our next meeting, and I'll make sure to make a note so that we can discuss about that topic then, yeah.
Thank you all.
I have one quick question. Somebody at the beginning of the meeting mentioned being able to compare wheelchairs with some testing device. I don't know. I don't remember who that was, but they said it was nice to walk into the back room and compare wheelchairs with some kind of a test device.
Yeah, that was me.
Do you have any information that you could send me? I'm curious about the method and the equipment that you're using.
Well, it's something we made ourselves. We call it Lotus. It's a test track. We can put 4 wheelchairs on it. There's a conveyor belt that runs the ISO ridges or a ramp similar to a curb drop ramp underneath the chairs. We put a 100-kilogram dummy on each chair, and we basically run them until something breaks. And we've used that to make tremendous improvements on the longevity of our wheelchair design. But then you know what our wheelchair can do. So when we come along with a new manufacturer, we can easily compare it to what our current chair does. And we've also evaluated chairs for other organizations. Some are on this call. What it does is it simulates a more rugged situation than you have with an ISO double drum or curb drop, because we know that you can take a approved chair, FDA approved chair, and take it to the developing country, and it could break in 3 days.
Yeah. Do you have any video that you could share with the group?
I would be happy to give Stephanie a link to a video, and she could send it to everybody.
That'd be great.
I actually have it at my fingertips because we created an article, remember?
Yes.
So that's part of the wiki, and I just put it there. So you're going to have some information on a text format, and also at the end, there's a video where you can see Don actually is on that video, and he's explaining a little bit about the whole wheelchair test track.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of a video for marketing, but we're happy to evaluate people's chairs.
Don wears the most colorful videos when he's testing wheelchairs. It's a nice yellow print.
Yeah,
it's a great. So it's all written up with that in that link on our wiki.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And this was an amazing meeting as always, and looking forward to seeing you in 3 months.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.